And here we go, spawning in the top right-hand corner of Royal Blood, we have the Polish Protoss player representing Team Liquid. It is MaNa. And spawn. In the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Ukrainian Protoss player representing Hot-Headed Gaming. It is NightPhoenix. Alright, here we go. So NightPhoenix again is more of an up-and-comer in the European scene. We have seen NightPhoenix compete a lot in the OSC events, like the OSC Mid-Season Playoffs, King of the Hill, as well, and a lot of these other online tournaments. And NightPhoenix has been doing very well for themselves. We've seen him go toe-to-toe with Wayne, for example, with Dimaga, with Cristiano, with Nicaract, with a lot of the other kind of regular online tournament players. But against a veteran like MaNa, this is going to be a bit of a tough ask. It is going to be quite a bit of a different story here. But I'm excited. I'm always very excited to see a lot of these up-and-coming younger players go up against the old guard, if you will. And we'll see how they're able to perform, especially because, actually, now that I think about it, is this the first offline event for NightPhoenix? I think so. I don't believe NightPhoenix was in, I don't believe he was at Katowice. And I'm not too sure about last year's Valencia, to be fair, but this is maybe his first offline event. I'd have to get confirmation on that. But yeah, that's another thing to bear in mind as well, that we haven't had too many offline events ever since, like, you know, the COVID era of StarCraft, and, you know, inexperience and stuff like that can also be a factor, can also come into play. But before we get into that, we're getting into our game, and we have a 2-gate opener from both players, as to be expected here in this PvP. There's no ramp coming into the natural, so 2-gate openers are the standard thing to do, and both players are going to be going for Stalker or double Stalker opener. So yeah, both players are going to be mirroring each other here. Great minds, they do think alike. With double Stalker, you can be quite assertive, you can be quite aggressive as well, especially if you go for 2 more Stalkers behind this. As the Stalker is revealed. The second one is going to be hidden, though. I love this from MaNa. It could have been a Stalker Adept or a Stalker Sentry opener, so NightPhoenix is not fully aware of what has gone on. Likewise, NightPhoenix also keeping his own second Stalker hidden from his opponent, as he goes for double Adept behind this. MaNa goes to double Sentry. Double Sentry is a safer opener. It does give you a lot of scouting potential with your hallucinations. It also gives you defensive force fields. Meanwhile, double Adepts are far more aggressive. With these Adepts, you can shade past the army. You are going to be looking to get into a mineral line and one-shot probes. 2 Adepts do one-shot a probe. So, yeah, we'll see if MaNa can keep up here with the aggression of NightPhoenix. As the army does move out. For the time being, the Adepts have remained hidden. For the time being, MaNa doesn't know he has to be ready for it, but he is keeping a probe here on the high ground just in case. There we go. Shield battery is thrown down. We do have the full wall off, and NightPhoenix is denied entry into the main. Oh. I think that was a misclick. We had a Colossus first into a Phoenix. You'll have to see it. Phoenix will be scouting, Colossus is going to be chilling. You know, it's just a way to assert your dominance, right? You're like, look at this, I just wasted energy on nothing. Fear me. He has high ground vision, Copian. As we do see the Oracle going to be threatening the main base here. The Adepts try to push on through. The shield battery is going to be going down. With the death of that shield battery, these sentries are going to be that much more vulnerable, but no, we just don't have enough DPS. We are being forced back by, of course, the Colossi. Meanwhile, we get a full scout of the main base. The first Oracle was already revealed earlier and wasn't really able to do too much damage. We have a second Oracle moving out. MaNa did scout this, so now he knows he has to be ready for those 2 Oracles. Bringing them together, they can one-shot probes as well. So again, MaNa taking the role of the defender. He has split up his army. We have Stalkers in the natural, Stalkers in the main as well. Getting ready for those Oracles. And we can see NightPhoenix is going to be bringing them together here in towards the main. There is no shield battery. Bear that in mind as well. And he's going to be looking to focus on as many of these probes as he can. Just gets one for the time being, but at least he doesn't take any hull damage. Only shield damage on these oracles. He can always dive back in. Meanwhile, NightPhoenix setting up a proxy location here on the left-hand side. Definitely be keeping my eye on him. My eye on that probe. As the oracles, they dive back in, and 3 or 4 probes do go down. The adepts manage to shade into the main base as well. The adepts don't really do too much damage, but they cause a little bit of chaos, a little bit of havoc, and they do confirm the Twilight Council as well as the blink. Speaking of, both players are proxying right next to each other. We have a 3rd gateway on the way. Sorry, that's a 4th gateway on the way from MaNa, so it looks like he wants to be hyper aggressive. He has a reinforcement point as well. He will not scout the proxy pylon as his opponent is going for the exact same thing. You love to see it. Oh, kind of the same thing. We have that's actually a 5th gateway for NightPhoenix, so he's going to be a little bit more committed. But before that can happen, MaNa, he blinks them forward. There are no shield batteries here for NightPhoenix. I'm sure he was hoping that his opponent would stay across the map. And this is getting out of hand. The boys are pulled. There's barely anything here to defend. No shield battery, no overcharge, no nothing. NightPhoenix is doing some counter damage across the map, but it's not going to be enough. NightPhoenix just caught before he can get into his production, before he can get into his additional gateways. Just was not ready for this, was not expecting a move out from MaNa. And with that, this is game-ending damage. 16 probes have gone down. It looks like NightPhoenix is going to be able to clean up the army in the end. But after losing all those workers, we're pretty committed. And oh no, he overextends. NightPhoenix loses 3 more stalkers here in the retreat. And he will not be able to force this back. MaNa still has a lot of momentum going his way. The Oracle's doing what they can, and hey, they are doing damage across the map, which is great and all, but the reality is that NightPhoenix still can't hold on. As here come another wave of reinforcements, and yeah, MaNa is looking to break the natural. We're here, 6 stalkers to only the 3 of NightPhoenix. He's trying to warp in whatever he can, but he doesn't have the economy, he doesn't have the resources to really warp in anything else. As it is going to be a bit of a slow death. Behind this, 3rd base is on the way, because why not? MaNa just getting further ahead, and GG does get called. MaNa will take game number 1. Oh, GG. NightPhoenix unfortunately just wasn't really prepared for any kind of counterattack. I think he was hoping, especially because of the threat of his oracles, he was hoping that MaNa would respect that, right? Like that makes a lot of sense, you know. Hey, I have 2 oracles, full of energy, full of shields, threatening your mineral lines. You're not going to move out. Oh, never mind, Poppy. Never mind. We move out. So, yeah, unfortunately, NightPhoenix just wasn't quite ready for that, and yeah, MaNa does take a lead in the series. Just double check. Looks like he was out of lens. Oh, there we go. There we go. Shout out to NightPhoenix. So, I guess his second offline event. So, there we go. That means he has experience. That means we can't make that excuse for it being his first time. Aye. As we are loading into game number 2 and spawning in the top right hand corner of Ancient Cistern, we have the Polish Protoss player representing Team Liquid, leading the series 1-0. It is MaNa. And spawning in the bottom left hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Ukrainian Protoss player down in the series, but not out, representing Hot-Headed Gaming. It is NightPhoenix. Here we go. Again, shout out to MaNa, I guess, because he was handling the aggression quite well. Right? We saw adepts, we saw oracles as well, trying to cripple, trying to in some way punish the economy here of MaNa, and NightPhoenix wasn't able to do that until the end, until towards the end of that game, when at the time NightPhoenix just was already dying at that point. So it didn't really matter that MaNa was losing 9-10 probes across the map. So MaNa was able to weather the storm when it mattered the most. just capitalize on that. Meanwhile, NightPhoenix is going to have to take a bit of a different approach here. After game one, I'm sure has tested the waters, is aware that maybe this hyper-aggressive style that NightPhoenix was going for maybe won't work too well against MaNa. Maybe it's time to slow things down and go for more of a macro-oriented game. We'll see. We shall see. Until then, probes are just going to be scouting each other, looking to confirm the pylons as well, make sure that there's no proxy pylon. Second pylon has been spotted by both players, and now these probes, their goal is to get an eye on the first couple of units coming out. We saw last game that both players were very careful with their unit control, and they made sure that they only ever revealed one of their units to their opponent, and likewise, I'm sure they're going to be looking to do the same as we have double Stalker openers once again. So it's not like they have a lot to hide, but for the most part, they want to keep their opponent guessing. Want to try to hide as much of that information as they can. As NightPhoenix does throw down a pylon here on the high ground, again, just for some scouting information, does confirm both Stalkers as they do come out. Likewise, we do have a pylon thrown down here from MaNa as well, just to be a little bit annoying, just to get an eye on what's going on and maybe even delay that Nexus. Oh, and things are looking a little bit spicy. So this time MaNa is going to open up double Stalker into double Adept, even though we're on Ancient Cistern, even though we're on a larger map. I would have expected some Sentry play, but no, MaNa is going to be the aggressor here with these Adepts. Meanwhile, NightPhoenix is going for a very fast Twilight Council, and this can go into a very fast Blink. This could even go for something like DTs. But I'm feeling Blink for the time being. Here we go. Stalkers are moving out for NightPhoenix as well. The Adepts are looking to bypass these Stalkers in the center of the map, and it looks like they will. They will shade past. Oh, there's nothing quite ready here at the ramp yet, but there we go. Probe is in position. Blink on the way. Probe is moving out for a proxy gateway. Once again, NightPhoenix wants to be the aggressor. He's a little bit too slow. The Adepts, they shade into the main base. Oh, and they're going to see everything. They're not just going to see everything, they're going to kill everything as well. We force a recall. The boys have to be pulled. 4 probes already going down, and the Twilight Council has been scouted. MaNa knows that his opponent intends to be very aggressive. He's already setting up with a shield battery here at the natural. Adepts are also able to escape after getting 4 probe kills. They're still alive. And I don't really... Oh, this is so unfortunate. No! Because the Adepts survive, they scout the edges of the map and they confirm the proxy gateway location. MaNa reacts with a defensive robo for immortal production, even though MaNa will have less gateways overall for longer, even though he's going to be at a bit of a production disadvantage. Again, he's like taking all the correct steps. Shield batteries, a second shield battery is on the way just in case the first one goes down. The robo, 4 immortals to make up for his deficit in that Stalker count. NightPhoenix is all in. That natural base is just for show. Like, he doesn't intend to saturate it at all. It is going to be a 4-gate blink all in from NightPhoenix. We even have some hallucinated Stalkers as well to help soak up some of those shots. Looking at the unit counts, NightPhoenix does have a Stalker advantage, but despite that advantage, we have so much else going for MaNa. Oh, a hallucination, tanks a shot, or tanks a volley even. Already worth it here for MaNa. At the same time, those Adepts from earlier, they killed 4 probes, they want more damage. We have a full wall up here at the natural. Another hallucination, tanks a volley. These hallucinations have been doing so well here for MaNa. And now enough time has passed where we have an immortal. And with the arrival of this immortal, I feel like that's kind of the end here of this all-in. I think NightPhoenix can maybe bypass the natural. He can blink straight to the main base, but for the time being, he does focus on the first shield battery. He's going to try to go toe-to-toe with the army here of MaNa, but he takes a couple too many immortal shots to the face. Ooh, he bleeds out a lot. At one point, NightPhoenix had a Stalker advantage, but now he no longer does. And across the map, those Adepts, they're breaking through. GG gets called. Good luck in the next game. MaNa will take the series 2-0. GG. Very solid scouting coming out from MaNa there. He very quickly, he didn't just identify the build, he also dealt some economic damage as well, which is always brutal. Like, on the one hand, you could be thinking, hey, if you're going for an all-in, does it matter if you lose workers? Well, it does. It matters even more because you have less workers to begin with. Like, every worker is that much more crucial to you. So for NightPhoenix to lose 4 probes in the early game was brutal. On top of that, his Twilight Council got scattered. On top of that, his proxy gateway got scattered as well. So MaNa got all the information he needed and prepared so well for the all-in of NightPhoenix. GG. GG. Just unfortunate to miss the block. Yeah, exactly. Like, NightPhoenix, he had a probe. He had a probe in position in his main base. He had it in position at the ramp, but was slow to react, and that would have changed the entire game, to be honest. He would have kept his worker count alive. He would have kept his build hidden as well. He even invested into a fake natural just to sell the story that he was going for a standard opener. GG. Congratulations to MaNa as he does advance on here into the next round. Oh, but before that, we have one final round of 8 match here before we get into the round of 4. Oh boy, we had Lambo going up against sort of earlier, and now we have another blast from the past. We have a Harstem going up against Starnan in another PvP. Ah, let's go, Papi, let's go.